Okay, we're back. It's mid-January, the 2024 Cheltenham Festival now fast approaching, and as it looks like we're not going to have much racing this weekend, I thought let's do something slightly different. Let's have a look through those Ante-Post markets. Let's pick out 10 outsiders at 25 to 1 or higher, and let's talk through why they could potentially be bets for the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. So look, I'm not suggesting these as bets necessarily. I may have £5 or £10 myself on a few of them, but they don't form part of the main P&L that we've discussed in the past two videos. In those past two videos, I've talked through my 20 Ante-Post bets, my P&L that I've put together so far for the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. I've outlined the prices that I've taken, the stakes that I've placed, so go back and have a look at those if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's talk outsiders. Let's get into this video. So number 1 of 10, and the first horse and price that I wanted to discuss is Broadway Boy, who's currently priced at 40 to 1 pretty much across the board for the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. Now Broadway Boy has had a really good season, lots of wins, but that winning run came to an end last weekend at Warwick in the Grade 2 race there, where he's beaten by Grey Dawning. And look, I think things just caught up with him in that race. He's had 5 runs since September. So if you're forgiving, if you're willing to put a line through that race, look back at the 6 runs before that. He won 5 of those races, one of those coming at Cheltenham as well, came second in the other, and has worked his way up to an official rating of 150, which is, very good for a novice chaser over fences. Nigel Twiston-Davies has history in this race, won the race with Black Lion back in 2016. Black Lion had an official rating of 150 at the time too. Maybe that's fate, maybe that's coincidence. But if you agree with me that, that price push back out to 40 to 1 is, too harsh after last weekend's disappointment, then maybe this one is a bet for you too. Number 2 of 10 is No Flies on Him at 25 to 1 for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Now look, bit of a cheeky 25 to 1 because it's only 25 to 1 in one place on Bet365 at the moment. And I did say at the start of this video everything was 25 to 1 plus, but he is still 25 to 1 if you can get that Bet365 price. And look, this horse has a bit of a backstory. So apparently JP McManus said to Edward O'Grady, you can pick one horse out at the Derby sale, and Edward O'Grady selected this horse. So clearly likes the look of him. In his point-to-point run, won that race, beat Django Bay, a horse who I love, who's gone on since that point-to-point to win the Grade 1 Formby Novices Hurdle. I think Django Bay still has a great chance for the Supreme at 33 to 1, so go back and watch my previous videos to see my thoughts there. But No Flies on Him, won that point-to-point, has then come out since in December, and won his maiden hurdle race, was priced at 3 to 1 for that race, so obviously was fancied for it. In a 28 runner field, beat horses like Ascending, like DB Cooper for example, and looks now set to go for the 2 mile Grade 1 novice hurdle race at the Dublin Racing Festival. So a good run there is obviously going to send down his price for the Supreme. There's also the chance he goes to the Ballymore. He's currently priced at 33 to 1 for the Ballymore, I guess. But, based on the fact he's going for the 2 mile run at the Dublin Racing Festival, I presume that's the most likely route for him at the Cheltenham Festival. And look, a horse who's, let's say, gaining some more hype on Twitter at the moment. People seem to be talking about No Flies on Him in the Supreme, in the race where there's a lot of question marks over the likes of, Mystical Power, Ballyburn. Will they be going for the Supreme? Will they be going for the Ballymore? All of the novice hurdles races look really open this year, which is really good for competitiveness, which is really good for prices. And I think there's definitely an argument for No Flies on Him really shortening in this market and potentially having a great shot at the Supreme. Number 3 is Phil Daw, priced at 33 to 1 for the Ryanair Chase. And I think I can keep my thoughts on this pretty short and sweet. Gordon Elliott has come out this week and said that Phil Daw will be aimed at the Ryanair. Has run twice this season, beaten by El Fabiolo and Dino Blue, 2 very good horses, both favourites for their respective races at the Cheltenham Festival. And look, this market is a bit of a mishmash. You've got Alaho at the top, who we know will be targeting this race, but obvious question marks about whether Alaho still has the quality of when he's won this race in previous years. Then you've got Banbridge, who we know is very ground dependent, but could have a great shot if gets the good ground that he probably wants on the day. And then I said mishmash. Look, it's a mishmash of horses who, the majority probably will not be going to this race. So as you move through that market, the one who then does look likely to go to this race is Phil Daw at 33 to 1. Now we're likely to see Phil Daw this weekend. I I think it's simple. I think it's a very strange turner's market that's going to cut up, that's headed by a horse who's got clear or has had clear quality in the past. But with all of those question marks about so many runners in the field, I think 33 to 1 is a fair price for Fildor, and we know he's going to target the race, which I think in this market is absolutely key. So 33 to 1 Fildor, I think, is worth a look in the Ryanair. Number 4 of 10 is Ethical Diamond at 50 to 1 for the Triumph Hurdle. Now, I think at this point it's important to remind you that, look, these aren't tips as such. They're just horses that I think are of interest and to keep on your radar at these prices moving forwards. Why I say that is because I absolutely don't know much about Ethical Diamond at all, other than what Willie Mullins has told us. Now, Willie Mullins seemed really excited about this horse. In his stable tours at the start of the season, suggested that Ethical Diamond would be, you know, right up there as a top novice hurdler. The horse was bought for £320,000. Went into that first run though, after coming off the flat, and really disappointed. You know, went off 6 to 5 favourite, finished about 11th on that day. I think that was too bad to be true. There must be a reason why that horse did not perform on the day. But has an entry in the Spring Juvenile Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival. And look, like I say, based on pure hype alone, based on what Willie Mullins has said about this horse, and let's take that to be true, let's assume that is what he truly believes about this horse, coupled with that price tag, coupled with the, you know, there was clearly money behind him on debut, and let's assume that run was too bad to be true. I think a 50 to 1 price tag for this horse is worth a few pounds in a Triumph market which, you know, has potentially a lot of good horses, but not necessarily one single standout this year. 50 to 1, not a bad price. Let's have a look. Okay, just before we go into selection number 5, if you are enjoying my content this year, please do subscribe to my channel. Not only does it really help me out, but you'll also get notified of any future videos that I release. We've got some good ones coming up. We're going to do full festival previews where we look at every race. I'll talk through my bets and selections that I place between now and the festival. And look, I do a little fist bump every time I see that I've got a new subscriber. So make that happen. Press the subscribe button on the video now on my channel, and I'll really appreciate it. Also, make sure you like the video and comment with your thoughts. It's always really interesting to see what bets you're placing, what your thoughts are, positive or negative, for my selections in this video, thoughts behind these outsiders, and any, you know, bets that I've placed in previous videos. So comment, like, subscribe. Thank you. Now on to number 5, and it's night and day. 33 to 1 for the Mare's Chase, I think is of interest. So Night and Day is a funny horse. You know, if you look through the form book, there's some really good form there, but there's also some tragic form over hurdles there as well. But this year, her chasing debut season, her first year over fences, and has had 2 runs so far. The first one finished way down the field on seasonal reappearance. But the second one is the one to note, and that was where she came out against Brandy Love. Brandy Love went off 1 to 4 on the day. Night and Day went off 9 to 1. And was turned over by 10 lengths, Brandy Love. So Night and Day won that race, like I say, by 10 lengths. An impressive performance. I mean, maybe most people would argue that Brandy Love just didn't run a race, didn't perform. But on that performance alone, in what looks to be a pretty weak Mare's Chase field, and look, let's be honest, the Mare's Chase is never the strongest field. But this year, you've got Dino Blue at the head of the race, who looks good. Then you haven't really got a great deal in that race. I think this race is screaming out for a horse to challenge Dino Blue at the top, and that's assuming Dino Blue even goes for this race. You know, there's talk about the Champion Chase potentially. This market is really there for the taking. So if Night and Day has a good day, if Night and Day really is 10 lengths better than the impressive Brandy Love, I say impressive, not this season over fences, but has been impressive in the past, then Night and Day, you know, must have a shot at 33 to 1, you would assume. So look, not a strong selection nonetheless, but I think at 33 to 1, I'll be having a few quid on this one and rolling the dice and seeing what happens. Number 6, and it's Korak Rambler, 25 to 1 for the Gold Cup on the Friday, that I think is worth a look. Now look, it's going to be a very profitable day for this video if we have Ethical Diamond at 50 to 1, Night and Day at 33 to 1, Korak Rambler at 25 to 1. We've got one in the Albert Bartlett coming up in a minute as well. It's probably not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. But Corach Rambler's an interesting horse. Look, this is the Grand National winner of last year. This horse has won the last 2 Ultimas at the Cheltenham Festival, beating Fast or Slow last year in that Ultima. I think, to be honest, it's rare that you have or in the last few years certainly, we haven't seen that massive price Gold Cup winner. It tends to go with the head of the market. This year, Galopin de Champs at the head of that market does look very strong. But Corach Rambler is a really, really good horse, and you don't need me to tell you that it takes a really good stayer to win the Grand National, obviously. I love the story. I love the story of going back-to-back Ultimas to then winning the Gold Cup. And actually, there's a chance that Corach Rambler goes to the Ultima again. Off an official rating of 159, will obviously be right up there at the top of the weights, but could happen. But I think let's go for that. Let's go for that dream story of Grand National winner who then wins the Gold Cup the following year. 25 to 1's an interesting price. I think if I was to pick a few horses from this race, Corach Rambler would probably be one that I just chuck a few quid at and just hope for the best. I think it's an interesting price, an interesting horse, one that definitely provokes debate. Maybe most would disagree with me. Not that I'm saying Corach Rambler's going to win the race, far from it, but I think, yeah, 25 to 1 is not a bad price. So horse number 7 is Quilixios, priced at 25 to 1 for the Arkle on day 1. Now look, before filming this section, I actually went back and watched Quilixios' Triumph Hurdle win in 2021 and forgot how impressive that was, how good of a horse this is. After that run, was given an official rating of 150. I think it's important to note that last year's Triumph Hurdle winner Lossiemouth still only has an official rating of 147 over hurdles. So this is a class horse we're talking about on his day. But suffered a setback at 20 months off the track, and we saw him come back a few months ago on reappearance and win over 2 mile 3, beating Cool Survivor. Not quite sure how he won that race because he absolutely battered the last fence at the end, but did win that race. Then was put in the Grade 2 at Punchestown over 3 miles, not quite sure why. Got battered that day, came I think 7th, really far down the field, but 3 miles clearly isn't his distance. Because then came out over 2 miles, back down to 2 miles, against the well-touted Mr. Policeman, and won that race impressively. And that race and that form alone is what shot him into this Arkle market, and what really made him look like a good novice chaser this season, and potentially in with a shout of going well in this race. The market itself is a unique one. We've got Marine Nationale obviously at the head of the market, currently odds on, and then I guess it's kind of pick your horse that you fancy to challenge Marine Nationale. Hunter's Yarn has been talked about this week. Will Facile Vega go for this race or go up in trip to the Turners? Who knows? But if I had to pick one horse out that looks like they could potentially challenge Marine Nationale, it's Quilixios, and I think 25 to 1 is a fair price to do so. So bet 7, that's my dart there. Number 8, look, I said I had one for the Albert Bartlett coming up, and that one is Welcome to Cartrees, who's priced at 25 to 1 for the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. Now, how open are these novice hurdle races this year? The novice hurdle division is impossible to tell, which horses are going to go to which races, which horses are actually good, especially the Albert Bartlett. There's one horse under the 10 to 1 mark at the moment, everything else up in the air. Who knows who's going to win, but what we do know is that Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden won this race last year with Stay Away Faye, and I think their best shot this year is Welcome to Cartrees. Now, the horse has run twice. On debut, came out against Beat the Bat, finished second, but those two pulled 15 lengths clear of the rest of the field. And on his next run over 2 mile 5, the Ballymore distance, he came out. I was confident he's going to win that race impressively and then go on to the Ballymore, but the race was an interesting one. Welcome to Cartrees off the bridle from a long way out, Harry Cobden shaking the reins, pushing the horse, encouraging the horse to go on, and that's exactly what he did. So whilst he looks like he was in trouble, on that home straight, stayed on really, really impressively. This horse looks an out-and-out stayer, actually finished going away in the end. Now, all that told me is that this horse is clearly a stayer, and therefore the 3 mile race looks to be the target this year. Welcome to Cartrees should go for the Albert Bartlett. 25 to 1 price tag for the winner and jockey of last year's race. I think this horse looks like it could potentially be good. I'm sure we'll see this horse over fences in the future and a staying chaser in the years to come. But for this year, I think has a shot at the Albert Bartlett at 25 to 1 in a race that looks wide open. I think definitely worth a little poke. Number 9, Tell Me Something Girl at 33 to 1 for the Mares Hurdle. Now this isn't necessarily my selection. There was a video that Paddy Power released on YouTube this week where Ruby Walsh talked about this horse as having a much better chance than 33 to 1 price for this race. Tell Me Something Girl obviously won at Cheltenham in the Mares Novice Hurdle in 2021. 2022 came back out and was brought down in the Mares Hurdle when, you know, going really well, could have had a good shot at that race. Then went chasing, and, you know, that was disappointing, I think is fair to say. So now has reverted back to hurdles, will likely be going for the Mares Hurdle again. And therefore, you know, 33 to 1, if it's good enough for Ruby, it's good enough for me. So Ruby Walsh's going to be having a few pounds on the horse. I might be having a few pounds on the horse as well. But I think definitely worth a look in the Mares Hurdle this year. There's some really good horses at the top of that market. Lossiemouth, Astro Diamond, Gala Marceau. You know, even horses like Lucia. I like You Wear It Well as well. A really strong Mares Hurdle on day one this year. But 33 to 1, like I say, Tell Me Something Girl is a horse that I just wanted to pick out here. Number 10, the final horse to talk about in this video, and it's Captain Guinness, who's priced at 25 to 1 for the Champion Chase. Now this horse was always the bridesmaid last season. Came second behind Energumene in this race at the Cheltenham Festival. Then in April came second in the Grade 1 at Sandown, behind John Bomb. Seasonal reappearance this year. Came out in the Grade 2 at Navan, looked really good. Finished 7 lengths ahead of Riviere de Tel there. Followed that up with a disappointing performance where he was pulled up behind Dino Blue, but was found clinically abnormal that day, so we can put a line through that one. And look, I want to find a horse who can potentially challenge those two novices stepping up in John Bon and El Fabiolo. At 25 to 1, I think Captain Guinness has potentially got the chance to do that. There's not a great deal in the market between, you know, the likes of Edward Stone, Captain Guinness, and the front two in the market. So why not? Let's roll the dice. Number 10, Captain Guinness, 25 to 1 for the Champion Chase. So look, that wraps up the video. I'm going to put all 10 on screen now so you can see the list of the 10 horses and races that I've talked about in this video. Do any of them have a chance at the festival? Could some of them place? Potentially, time will tell. But look, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment with your thoughts. Are there any horses that I'm missing? Do you have any big outsiders that you really like the look of for the Cheltenham Festival in a few months' time? I'll be back soon with some more videos, but until then, good luck.